Hello everybody once again, this is AikawaKazu. Welcome back to another video, and I think you guessed it, I was gonna do a video on this one, but today we're actually gonna discuss and talk about the drop rate nerf slash changes. In that everyone loses, including Nexon and whichever publisher that you're playing MapleStory from. Alright, for me personally, this change is like MapleStory taking 5 steps forward, with your V matrix, with your 5th drop skills, with your Maple Union, with all the cool changes that have been made to the game, with all the nice unit member effects on the Maple Union and making everything a lot more free to playable when it comes to how free to play the game actually feels. And now, with this drop rate nerf or change, it's like taking 10 steps back. Alright. And maybe some of you be like, you're just mad because you can't make mesos from selling cores anymore. The thing is that, for that, question itself, core prices are already really low across all MapleStory servers and it has been normalized. So it's not about that for the most part, I would say. In fact, I don't even sell cores to make mesos anymore because I don't really play the game much anymore. But today I'll still talk about why this drop rate nerf is a lose-lose for everybody. Alright, first things first. The drop rate for core gemstones and symbols, which is the two main items here, or drops that we're talking about as in affected by the drop rate nerf or changes, is that these two items are essential with the new content that has been included into the game. You need core gemstones or node stones in the case of GMS to level up your your skill nodes, your boost nodes in the case of basically your V matrix skills. And you need 3,000 to 4,000 cores per player or per character to get all your key skills to level 25. And 3 to 4,000 cores is assuming that you open all the cores and you dismantle all the other skills that you don't need, and then you use the core pieces to craft skills to level your your 2 tri-cores, your 2 basic 5th drop skills, and your 2 class specific 5th drop skills. And then there's you have a decent holding symbol, which I'm not even including in this pool, which means you probably need more. You have your other skills as well, your decent sharp eyes, your decent speed infusion, sorry. Obviously you won't get those to 25, but you need more than 6 cores. So just taking that we need to level up 6 main skills to level 25, eventually you need around 3,000 to 4,000 cores. And back when V Matrix was first introduced, the drop rate for core gemstones was already bad enough. Literally, if you have no drop rate gear, you can dream on about farming core gemstones in an efficient and effective manner such that you don't have to spend tens of hours in the game just to get 1 or 2. For instance, I started with no drop rate gear and I tried farming core gemstones or symbols during a 2x drop rate event, which by the way, as the saying goes, that if you have 0% drop rate, 0 times 2 is still 0. This is why people always recommend you to get drop rate in your hidden ability when it comes to your hidden ability, aiming for that 20% legendary hidden ability, that 20% drop rate increase so that you have 20% baseline drop rate so that the drop rate event or drop rate buffs actually matter in this case to allow you to get much better chances to get core gemstones or node stones to drop. So it was really bad for the majority of the player base, whom, by the way, have no access to drop rate gears unless talking about reboot servers where they can actually make a full set of drop rate gear relatively easier compared to people playing in the normal servers. If it's not reboot server, it's almost, I would say, less than 5% of the player base that will actually get drop rate gear. Maybe you get 1 or 2, that's about it. Most people will not be like me where you have 9 legendary accessories that have drop rate on them, and then you have a separate set of gear that's legendary for bossing. That's like, I'm considered one of the more towards the hardcore side of the player base. So the majority of player base already find it really hard to get core gemstones. Alright, and this, by the way, I just want to emphasize, is one of the main reasons that is pushing players away from continuing to play MapleStory after they heard about an amazing V Matrix, after they heard about an amazing Beyond, or in the case of GMS Overdrive, and then they came back to play. You have 2 major content patches in the game that attracted people who are new or returning players to come back to play Maple Story. And then with this change, you are driving them away again, which is really bizarre, which is like what I mean by taking 5 steps forward and then taking 10 steps back. Alright, so the reason why V Matrix and this Nodestone system was really cool, including the symbol system was really cool, was that it was one of the few ways to power up your character. It was one of the few ways to progress your character that's not dependent on the traditional way of gearing your character, which is getting those legendary potentials. And when you get those legendary / unique potentials for your end game, you want to get the 2 double 9 main stats for your class. For example, for Shadower, which is a thief class, you want to get 12/9 luck, for example, for legendary, or you aim for at least a 9/6 on your unique gear, which is not something that's impossible when you look at Maple Story in the long run. See, but that is like the end game, the thing that you try to do events for, the things that you try to get purple cubes. In the case of GMS, your Master Craftsman cube and your Maester cubes to try and get yourself to unique and then legendary. That's fine. That's a traditional way of powering up a character. But when V Matrix was introduced, you have your boost notes, you have your skill notes, and with them, with 2 skills at level 25, which is your 2 tricores, you can actually get a main bossing skill to have 100% more damage. So to give you guys a context here, back then you need around 3 million clean range. You need around 3.5 million clean range. Not even considering the fact that you still need boss damage percent, your ignore enemy defense, your IED as well, so that you can actually be able to do CRA solo in that sense. Even though Maple Story is not supposed, or bossing shouldn't be done in the solo when you're talking about endgame. But back when CRA was endgame, if you wanted to solo CRA, you need around 3 million clean range. But with V Matrix, because of how you can use 2 tricores to get your main bossing skill to do twice as much damage, your clean range needed now is actually 1.5 mil to around 2 million clean range, depending on your class. It's going to vary depending on your class, because some classes have low range but high of board damage when it comes to their skills. Demon Slayer is one of those classes. In any case, it helped to halve the amount of range you needed to actually be able to tackle content such as Chaos Root Abyss, which was really, really inviting for returning players or new players, because those content are highly valued when V Matrix was still something new into the game, and your Chaos Root Abyss armor sets was still worth a decent amount of money. So being able to gear yourself with just epic potential, mind you, it was actually possible to tackle the Chaos Root Abyss content because of the introduction of V Matrix. And then with Beyond and Maple Union, it was much better. With Beyond and Maple Union, you're looking at a benchmark of being able to deal with hard Magnus. But it was already quite difficult for most players to actually be able to acquire core gemstones. Most people with the low core prices now will actually go and do their bossing, go and do some elite bosses, sell the elite boss loots in the case of Maple Story Southeast Asia, get mesos, do your black bean, sell your power elixirs, sell your sunset dew, do your grinding, get your mesos, and buy 5 cores a day, that kind of stuff, and you'll be able to do that. But now with the drop rate change, it's not about the core gemstone prices going up. It is the fact that the supply will be stifled, because it is really bad. You're talking about 2 to 3 times worst. Alright? For my friend Just Illusions actually did his own testing here. Full drop rate gear, no 2 times. Or with Kana, which is Kishin, he actually got, I believe, 12 in 1 hour. And then with 2 times, I believe he has 16, and then with 4 times he has, I believe, 21. Which you can see, the 2 times don't mean 2 times more drops. It's like, they were saying that the drop rate changes is something like your ignore enemy defense, even though no one clearly knows exactly how it works now. There are some diminishing returns. But you can see 1 hour back then, for me, bare minimum 1 minute per core, which is 30 cores per minute. And you'll be thinking, wow, that's actually a decent amount. But if you look at how you need 4,000 cores or 3,000 cores, that means you need to farm, how many hours is that? 1 hour 30, you need 3,000, you need to farm 100 hours. And that's assuming you have the drop rate gear and you have the gear to grind in a place that is efficient in the first place, which is, again, not accessible to the majority of the player base. So with how it was difficult to actually level up your V Matrix skills, but it was still something that you can work for, it was, I would say, a grey area. But again, it was something that kind of pushed these super casual players, which is not, by any means a bad thing, because there were some viewers in my channel that talk about how Maple Story is not for the casuals. If you cannot take the grind, and this game is not for you. You have people like that, which I can see their point to a certain extent here, but you have to recognize that it is a push away factor here. The fact that core gemstones are really hard to get when you have no drop rate gear. And now, with the changes, by the way, which they say that the base drop rate has gone up, that it is still ridiculously hard to get core gemstones. And then it is also very hard to get symbols. And for those who are wondering what are symbols, basically every new region in the Arcane River, you have a symbol, and every time you level up that symbol, you get 100 more of your base stat. But this 100 more of your base stat is not affected by potentials, but you can still get a lot of base stat. You're talking about 5,000 for me with my current symbol status. But basically, V matrix symbols, which is your core gemstones and your symbol levels, they contribute to making the game more free to playable for the majority of players. But now with the drop rate nerf, it is even more difficult. It is much harder for a free-to-play player to be able to visualize. Most of my friends will get to level 200, no problem. The leveling is not an issue. And then they'll be like, hey, how are you so strong? I'm like, oh, I have level 25 skill nodes and boost nodes. They'll be like, oh, so how do you level them up? I'm like, oh, you need to open core gemstones. So they try and grind and they realize, wait, I just get one core gemstone or 0 per hour. So how do I get so many? There's like a dot at the end. You don't even know what to tell them. You don't even know how to try and convince them to continue playing the game. And you're like, oh, you need drop rate gear. And back then, as a streamer, as a content creator, as someone that can actually farm 30 core gemstones, 40 core gemstones per hour, I could give away core gemstones to my channel to one lucky winner every day. But the fact that it's nerfed, like I'm only getting 6 core gemstones per 30 minutes, potentially 12 per 30 minutes, which by the way, cross-referencing with Just Illusions, it makes sense. We kind of confirmed our drop rate together. That it is really hard for someone to actually, hey, take 100 cores, because it is so much harder to get those cores to drop in the first place. And moving on to my third point here, which I will mention about the first thing that I mentioned about, which is what I call the devil's advocate, right? That people are, you're just mad that you can't make mesos anymore from selling cores. The thing is, I don't mind that the drop rate has been changed, but there should be a trade-off. I was telling my stream that there should be a trade-off, which means reducing drop rate and how it works should have resulted in the implementation of a new system, a new mechanic, wherein you'll be able to get core gemstones at a low but consistent rate. So you'll be like, huh? What are you talking about here? I've always mentioned on my stream that there's a need to revamp the daily quest, which gives symbols. So you have your Nameless Village or your Road to Vanishing daily quest, where you go around killing monsters, collecting the drops, and you hand in, and then you get symbols for your hard work, right? And you can, if you complete everything, you get, I believe, 7 or 8 symbols, I can't remember, for Nameless Village. And then for Truth Shallan, you have your party quest, and then for Lashlin, you have your solo instance, which is your Dreambreaker. And those things help you to get symbols at a consistent rate. Why not incorporate such that if you complete your daily quest, for example, if you finish your Vanishing Village daily quest, or your Nameless Village daily quest, you get 3 core gemstones, for example. If you finish your Choo Choo Island daily quest, you get 5. And if you finish your Lashlin daily quest or your Dreambreaker, you get another 5. So you get a grand total of 13. While 13 might actually sound a lot, I've done the math, alright? It'll still take you around 300 days if you just log in and do your dailies every day to be able to progress with a character. But the fact that people know that they can get 13 core gemstones every day if they play the game tells them that they can progress, they can move on, they can get stronger in the game at a slow rate nevertheless, but at a steady rate. But there's no trade-off, you see. The drop rate is nerfed, but there's nobody benefits from it. It doesn't help the casual players, it doesn't help the new players, it doesn't help the returning players. You make your most hardcore player base, the people that bother to queue 9 out of 9 drop rate gear, or there are some people that I know that have 4 out of 9, 5 out of 9, whatever. As long as you have drop rate gear, you definitely have done and put in effort to get a drop rate gear. You're just pissed off. I mean, everyone, which is basically anyone that bothered to get drop rate gear back then, and nobody will try to get drop rate gear now, right? Because it's quote unquote useless. that they are definitely one of your semi or hardcore player base. You just pissed off your most loyal player base and your most casual, your average player base. The majority of your player base don't benefit at all. Now, I don't mind that you give away 13 core gemstones every day, and obviously the core gemstone prices will drop because the demand will be lowered, since I'll just do my dailies every day and get 13 core gemstones every day. I don't need to buy core gemstones, you see. But at least it helps the game to be more free to playable. There are still players willing to play the game, and the game population is still healthy. And when that happens, in general, it's always good for the game, because if there's no players in the game, the whales will not stay. In fact, ever since this change is implemented, there has been mass and exodus of quitting sales. I've heard from, I don't know, Facebook pages. I've not seen it personally myself, but I know that one very, very quote-unquote hardcore player on my server has actually quit the game. And everyone knows him. One of the best night walkers in my server has quit the game ever since this change has been implemented. And it is really, really sad. It is really, really sad. Again, no one are winners here. And for those wondering, why give 13 core gemstones? Why make it so easy? It is very common for MMOs, where a level cap is increased in the case of WoW, that the things that were difficult, the things that were expensive before, will usually be made to be easier to get, so that returning players, new players will be able to catch up to the hardcore players. For those who do not know how MMORPGs actually work, when it comes to new content being released, your retention rate before you release a new content, alright, depends on how much players you had at the point in time where the new content is released. So if you're expanding new content to new content, it is very important for you to be able to retain or increase the number of player base that you have before the new content is released, because not everybody is going to choose to bother to try and get to the next level cap, because when that happens, when a new content is released, that means new shit needs to be grind, and sometimes people will drop off. So if you don't make it easier for new people or returning people or returning players to see that they don't have to catch up as much, then it is a very high chance that they will not return at all. And this drop rate change, again, 10 step backwards. And the worst thing is this: V Matrix, Beyond, or Overdrive, your Maple Union, at every juncture of this new content release, people came back. But in the case of V Matrix, there were some bad events from Maple Story Southeast Asia that pushed people away. But that's a publisher kind of, I don't know whose fault it is, alright? So, but you still have V Matrix, you still have Beyond, and all these two content release have brought people back. So you need to try and retain them. But this drop rate change on Nerf just pushed everyone away again. So you do not have a good level of player base left to be retained, so that when a new content is released, you can actually move on to the next one. See, this is what I mean. The drop rate change and Nerf doesn't make sense, because there is no trade-off. Nobody is benefiting from this. And you'd be like, but Kazu, it makes the game more pay to win, so that next time get more money. No. The drop rate Nerf is so bad, there's no reason to get 2 times drop rate coupon anymore in the case of GMS and Maple Story Southeast Asia. And by the way, 2 times drop rate cash coupon does not exist in KMS, which goes to my next point. Alright. Which is, after hearing from a particular viewer on my channel, he mentioned that a lot of these changes into the game are actually KMS specific, that means Korean Maple Story specific, which personally I feel is not an excuse. There's like half a year, or at least a couple of months, to actually tweak the changes. Like maybe if they feel that a drop rate nerf is justified, they should definitely adjust it, or at least give us exactly what KMS actually have, which in this case, in Korean Maple Story, core gemstones that are dropped are directly tradable. So now, for those who don't understand why this is so bad, it's because core gemstones or node stones in GMS and Maple Story Southeast Asia is untradable when dropped from monsters. To have tradable core gemstones, you have to open untradable core gemstones, and then this disassemble or dismantle skills or nodes that you don't want, get core pieces, and then use 35 core pieces to craft one tradable core gemstone. Which, by the way, we have a ratio, right, for people who have been selling core gemstones, right? It's about 100 tradable core gemstones is equivalent to about 200 to about 220 untradable core gemstones. So for GMS, or People Story Southeast Asia players, we'll be like, hey, you guys got Kishin Shokan, you guys got increased spawn rate, you guys will be able to get core gemstones at a much faster rate. Yeah, sure. But is it 2.2 times faster? Has Kishin Shokan increased the number of core gemstones that you receive by 2 times? Probably not. Probably not. And coming from experience, no. Like, I get 30 core gemstones per 30 minutes. That means 1 per minute. With Kana, it's about 40, increased by about what? 20%? Did I do the math correctly? Plus 10? 10 out of 40? 25%. It's definitely not 2.2 times. Not even 2 times. Not even close. And even if you include the 2 times drop rate coupon, the drop rate of symbols and core gemstones are so low that you most definitely don't get 2 times drop. So on top of having a 2 to 3 times reduction in number of core gemstones that we actually get as a whole, we have to farm 2.2 times as much. Having Kishin Shokan doesn't validate or it's enough to cover up the massive drop. So the drop rate nerf that's been implemented to KMS should have been tweaked at the very least for GMS and Maple Story Southeast Asia, if they still believe that the drop rate change is warranted, which in the case of KMS when it was introduced, everyone was very unhappy, at least on the Reddit. I've seen like Koreans, in forum chats very quickly comparing how bad the drop rate nerf is. And the worst thing was because in the patch notes, they actually say that core gemstones drop rate has been increased. The base drop rate for core gemstones actually increased, but they also mentioned that drop rate has been restructured and changed to work differently, which resulted in them testing and realizing that it's actually overall much worse. Much worse. Which is a really sad thing. I mean, doing this video, honestly, I don't think anything's going to change. But I want to say that at least I try to talk about it. At least I try to bring changes or solutions to the table. And my solution, or some tweaks that can be done, is make the drop rate nerf if you really think that it's important to be tweaked for GMS and Maple Story Southeast Asia. And secondly, there should be a trade-off. Alright, there should be a trade-off to benefit newer players, returning players, so that they'll be able to get core gemstone at a steady rate, while they still need to do it for another 300 days, or even if they're active and they still farm maybe 150 days, which by the way is fine. That's fine. People take 3 to 4 months to get to where they feel that the content is saturated, and by the time there's new content coming out anymore, there's new content coming out anyway. The new Arcana instance to farm Arcana symbols will come out. So for symbols, I can't really say much because you have your daily quest to get a steady flow of symbols. But in the case of the latest area, which is Arcana in Maple Story Southeast Asia and GMS, the only way that you can level your Arcana symbol is by farming. By if you actually did your Lashlin, and if you actually did your Chushu Island and your Nameless Village, you should be good for Lucid anyway. So it doesn't really matter that much, to be honest. But yeah, core gemstones, one very important item for the progression of everybody. But now has been, drop rate has been changed to such a negative fashion that it is really hard for gemstone farmers to even want to farm anymore. So in any case, this is an open discussion, I guess. So this week's video will be talking about this. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think about the drop rate change. If you actually think that there's a silver lining and there's something good about the drop rate change, I welcome you to let me know in the comments. And I'll be really glad to see that, oh, I actually missed it out. If not, name as AikawaKazu. Thanks for watching once again. God bless. And I'll see you guys and girls in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye bye.